If you are playing as black, then you definitely need a good opening for having a good position. Well, in this video, I will show you some best openings for black you can use to have a good position. So let's get started. The first opening is against e4. You go d6. This is the PS defense. It is a hyper-modern defensive opening where you give up the center control and later counter attack. White goes d4, grabbing the center. You go knight f6, and here black cannot push this pawn because if he does, then first you are going to take, white takes, and then you are going to exchange the queens, and then go knight to g4. White have to play king to e1 or king e2 to defend this pawn, and then you can just take this pawn, and white is down a pawn and you are completely winning. Therefore here he goes knight to c3. You are going to play g6, knight f3, bishop g7, and then here let's say white goes something like bishop to d3. And here I am giving you a few options. First, you can castle and we will move your knight back and push this f pawn to attack along the king side. Or here you can also go c6 and knight b d7 to play along the center. It's your choice how you wanna continue. Let's move on to our next opening. This is a super solid opening against the queen's gambit. After d4, d5, c4, this is the queen's gambit, and you decline with e6, knight c3, you go knight f6, and here after knight f3, you play c6. This is the semi-slab. If you want to play defense, then you can use this as your weapon. Let me show you a line I usually like to play, and you can also use this. Let's say white goes e3. Here you are going to play knight b d7, and say white goes bishop to d3, preparing to castle. Then you go bishop to e7, both side castles. Say white plays something like b3, then you are going to play b6 and put this bishop on b7 to attack along the center and continue playing. Let's move on to our next opening. If you want to play the Sicilian defense, then I recommend you playing the dragon variation because it is much easier. So after e4, c5, this is the Sicilian defense. Here white goes knight f3, you go knight c6, d4, takes, and then here you go with g6. This is the isolated dragon. White goes knight c3, you play bishop to g7, white plays bishop e3, and here you go knight f6. Queen d2 is a standard response to take this bishop, and here your idea is to play d6, develop the bishop, and put this rook on this open file to generate counter play, and even play a6 b5 if white castles on the queen side. Well, there are various options. If you need a video on Sicilian defense, then let me know in the comments. Let's move on to our next opening. If you want to avoid Roy Lopez or fried liver attacks, then I recommend playing the Fildor defense, which starts with e4, e5, knight f3, and here you go d6. This is the Fildor defense. It is a very good solid opening for beginners. The only drawback is that you block the dark square bishop, but you can develop this the other way, so it's not a big deal. White plays bishop to c4. This is the most common move. You can either go bishop to e7 or knight to f6. Let's say you play knight to f6. And here, white tries to go with the fried liver attack, which is knight to g5. Then here you are going to push your d pawn. He cannot take with the bishop because you can take his bishop and then take his knight. Therefore, he takes with the pawn. And here, don't recapture, play h6, taking this knight. Knight moves back and then push the other pawn. Here, many beginners players just go back and you have a very good position. White has another option, which is knight to e5. You are going to play queen to e7, putting more pressure on this knight. white goes d4. Then you can capture or bust out. And as you can see, you have a decent position in just 7 moves. If white defends, then you can just keep putting pressure on this knight, and you have a slight advantage in this position. Well, here are some more amazing chess openings that you might like. And if you want to learn some chess traps to trick your opponents, then you can check out this right playlist. And if you don't want to miss the upcoming videos, then don't forget to subscribe.